Before this video gets underway, I just wanted to let you know that inside I'll be reviewing my top 5 books of the week, and number 5 through 2 will have very light spoilers, and number 1 will have pretty heavy spoilers, so just be warned. Hey, what's going on YouTube? I apologize for not uploading any videos for the last couple days. I've been super busy, got slammed with work yesterday. I wanted to do a music reaction yesterday, just didn't have the time. And I've been meaning to make this top 5 list for the week, so I'm actually going to combine 2 videos together today, and I'm going to give you my top 5 of the week from New Comic Book Day, February 23rd, and I'm also going to share with you a review of my pick of the week. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. Ultra Combo! All right, it was a pretty stacked week. There was a lot of really good books and a lot of new number 1s. The next week, March 2nd, which is tomorrow actually, New Comic Book Day is just on the horizon, so, you know, that's exciting. But my top 5 of the week, let's go. All right, coming in at number 5, we got Heavy Metal Drummer number 1. Now this was a really good issue. I did a review for it actually because it was my hype pick of the week. It was the book that I was most excited to receive, and it didn't disappoint. It wasn't as extraordinary as I thought it was going to be. The art was really, it left a lot to be desired. I really was hoping that it would just blow me away, but unfortunately it didn't. It was good. The coloring was fantastic. The story was good. It had very interesting elements of like a sci-fi psychedelic kind of adventure. I'm really excited to see where they go forward with this book. I'm hoping issue number 2, which was slated to come out this week, I believe, but has obviously been pushed back a couple of weeks just because this book also was pushed back about 3 weeks. So I'm not sure exactly when number 2 is coming out, but I'm excited for it. But like I said, the coloring is fantastic in this book. The art very much reminds me of a Super Jail from Adult Swim. I don't know if you've ever seen that television series, but it's a fun series. And honestly, the vibe of this book kind of reminds me of that too. Not just the art itself, but just the theming and the trippiness of it. So Heavy Metal Drummer was my number 5, and it was a good book. I was not disappointed. All right, coming in at number 4, we got Ghost Rider number 1. Now this was a really good origin story for Johnny Blaze coming back as the Ghost Rider. I believe he's the original Ghost Rider. Not 100% sure. I've never been a huge Ghost Rider fan. Honestly, Nicolas Cage kind of ruined that character for me when I was younger, but unfortunately, I never read a whole bunch of Ghost Rider comics or anything like that. Actually, though, Ghost Rider is the first key that I collected. It's I showed it earlier in a previous video. Midnight Suns, The Rise of the Midnight Suns. I'm getting into the character. I like the horror elements. Like I've said before, Carnage is probably my favorite villain. He's got like kind of the gory, creepy, edgy elements to him, and Ghost Rider kind of, to me, fits along that same mold where he's not a villain, but he's kind of the anti-hero, but he's edgy, right? I mean, he's a guy with a flaming skull and a motorcycle with flaming wheels and chains and whips and spikes and stuff. So I like Ghost Rider. He's pretty cool. And Johnny Blaze, so far, at least this iteration, seems pretty sweet. I'm excited to continue the series, which I didn't think that I was going to do. I thought that I was just going to collect the number 1 and just kind of drop it, maybe collect 2 or 3, but I actually really dug this issue. It kind of gave me vibes of The Matrix, which I don't know if that's a typical thing of Ghost Rider. It's like I don't want to spoil too much or anything like that, but it's like The Matrix mind prison kind of theme. Really cool first issue, and like I said, I'm excited to continue to pull this, see where it goes. All right, and my number 3, which I actually didn't finish until yesterday, Carnage Forever number 1. Now, like I said, I didn't finish this book until yesterday, and I don't want to say I wasn't looking forward to it, because I very much was looking forward to it, but I was almost anxious, or I had like an anxiety about reading this book. I really wanted it to be special, and really exciting and really good. It was good, but it wasn't mind-blowing, which I guess Carnage books never really are mind-blowing. You know, there's nothing like unexpected. So it was a good book. I really enjoyed it. It was 2 stories. It was kind of 3 stories, but it was 2 stories. The first story was interesting. It was about this little girl, and she was kind of homeless, and she had deadbeat parents. She wasn't homeless. Her parents were squatters. I don't want to spoil too much here. That's not what I'm trying to do with these videos. I just want to kind of give a quick synopsis. Basically, the first story was almost could have been in the Carnage Black, White, and Blood series. It was just like kind of standalone little thing that kind of sort of set up the series, but not as much as the second story. The second story really sets up the series as an ongoing coming. I hope it says next week, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen, if it's coming out next week. Either way, it's on my pull list, so I'm excited to see where they take that ongoing series. They kind of set it up in this one, but at the same time, it was just a one-shot. I'm excited to see where they go. I really like Carnage, as I've mentioned several times. The book did not disappoint. However, it did not blow my socks off, which I guess is why I had so much anxiety about it. I was hoping that it would just blow me away. Now, for books that blew me away, my number 2 was the first book this week that really blew me away. I really enjoyed it, and that is Action Comics number 1040. It's a really interesting book. I actually read the Warworld saga leading up to this before I decided to pick this book up, and it's a really interesting little mini arc saga. I gotta say, the theme and just the setting, it seems like it would be an environment that would break any man, and it's hard to describe exactly, but this like little mini arc perfectly personifies what makes Superman so special. The fact that he is not breaking and he's sticking to his guns, just the way he is, trying to go about his business here on this war world to free these slaves that Mongol is keeping. The only thing I did not like about this issue, which I also did not like in the issues leading up to this, was this background story, or this secondary story with Martian Manhunter. It's not a bad story, there's no action, and this is Action Comics. I would prefer more just filler pages, maybe like background dealing with Mongol and all of his minions and battle scenes with the prisoners. Like, that would be so much more entertaining than the 8 to 10 pages we get of this completely aloof and just silly Martian Manhunter story. If you're enjoying that Martian Manhunter story, I apologize. I'm not trying to offend you or say that you don't deserve a comic, because I think Martian Manhunter deserves a comic, but I think it needs to be standalone. It's just goofy. It doesn't fit in Superman Action Comics. It needs to be its own thing. And I think this book would benefit greatly from just having 8 to 10 more pages of just background battle scenes. And I mean, it's like a Coliseum, right? Like, have some cool, unimportant Coliseum battle scenes with all the characters trying to gain more links on their chain. They talk about the chains that, are around their wrists, and every time they strike a foe down or kill someone, or I'm not sure if it's just maim someone, they get another link in their chain, so their chains grow, and their arms get to go further apart so they can, be more effective as a fighter, right? It's a cool story, really cool concept. The art is amazing. I'm also very glad that, unlike Detective Comics, this is not a weekly series. I would probably also be reading Detective Comics if it was monthly, or at least like once every 3 weeks. I just can't get down with the weekly series. I'm dropping Spider-Man this week as soon as Queen Goblin's arc was over. I'm done with Spider-Man until the new series comes out, as long as it is a monthly series. This book was really good, and I can't wait for the conclusion of Warworld, and I hope we get more Midnighter. That's pretty much it for that one. All right, and to wrap it all up, we got my number 1 book, and I'm gonna do kind of a mini review on this one, lengthier than the other 4, just because I want to kind of combine my top 5 of the week with my pick of the week review for this video, since I haven't been able to give you guys any videos the last couple days. And what do we have? Supermassive number 1, the one shot by Kyle Higgins and Ryan Parrott, and it features the crossover event with Radiant Black and Rogue Sun, which is probably one of my most highly anticipated books for this new comic book day, March 2nd, and this newer character that we haven't heard anything about until this series, or until this crossover event, Inferno Girl Red. And there's also a first appearance of a character in the back of this. So that's pretty sweet. I really, really liked this book. All right, it starts off and there's this explosion of sorts, and you're introduced to the first character of the book, and that is Inferno Girl Red. She seems to have kind of blipped into this universe or this world with, I guess she was in the middle of a battle with this creature from her universe. And then there's this civilian casualty. And that's kind of how they introduce you to the book, which interesting, first few pages, especially if you read Radiant Black and you know that this is a connecting book, and then you see those first couple pages, you're like, whoa, who's this? She looks cool. And then boom, here's the beginning of the story. And then it kind of goes into the introduction of Rogue Sun. And then you see here our friends who are the original Radiant Black and the new Radiant Black. Spoilers if you haven't read Radiant Black. They're texting still, so at least they're remaining some kind of friendship and some kind of communication, which we always, I guess, figured that they would have, but we kind of wondered what the role of the original Radiant Black character was going to be. We still don't really know what that role is, but hopefully he gets his own powers or is just like Radiant Black Zero, and he kind of like helps Marshall along the way. We'll see. So we have the robot entering, and the robot alien entity that is behind the Radiant Black suit, basically warning Marshall, saying, hey, there's a danger in the universe, and it just kind of appeared. And then you have the first meetup between any of the characters of the book. You have Rogue Sun meeting up with Inferno Girl Red, thinking that she's a threat, and then like right before basically they start to battle, you have Radiant Black appear. Well, he hasn't appeared in this scene, but based on the powers, and if you read Radiant Black, you knew that here he is freezing them in place. You could just tell by the art, by the outline of the characters, and then they're kind of frozen in place, that it's Radiant Black. And then he shows up and they kind of greet each other. Then you're introduced to this villain that exists in our universe, in Radiant Black's universe, and he's like an energy vampire, or technology vampire. He like saps the technology out of the Radiant Black suit. He kind of does the same to the other two heroes in this story. He saps all their powers. I just love how colorful this book is, man. It's so beautiful. You just have a lot of interesting dialogue here, and kind of a little adventure with our heroes as they're traveling around trying to chase down the villain, the monster, without their powers, because the technology vampire monster thing has sapped away their powers and their suits and their abilities, so they're just normal people at this point. They have interesting conversation with each other. It's just fun to watch them try to hunt down the monster. And you see the monster has grown to a completely abnormal size and is leaving this wake of destruction behind it, just demolishing everything, leaving a path of just utter chaos. And here you have almost a Power Rangers-esque battle scene where these three normal humans are basically taking on this giant monster and trying to figure out basically how to get their powers back. I'm not going to spoil any more of this book, but eventually they do, figure out a plan, and I'm just going to leave you with that. There's a really awesome surprise in the book if you want to pick it up. I think it was $6.99, so it was a little pricier, but my God, the art and the colors and the content, like, it's a pretty thick book. It has a spine. It's not just a stapled comic book. Like, it has I don't know what you call that. It's almost like a mini trade, sort of like the Batman Catwoman special. It's kind of like that, how size-wise too, honestly, or the Geiger 80 page. It's very similar in comparison to those two books, content and size-wise. It's just a fantastic read from beginning to end, especially if you're enjoying Kyle Higgins' run with Radiant Black. Want more from that universe, then this is a no-brainer. It's fantastic. I would say it's probably good for people who aren't reading Radiant Black now as well. Probably a good jumping on point. But yeah, like I said, it's such a good story. I cannot wait for Rogue Sun 1. I'm hoping we get more from Inferno Girl Red soon. Honestly, she was really cool. I really liked the human but also alien vibes that they gave her. Yeah, that was my top 5 for February 23rd, 2022's new comic book day. Let me know in the comments below, what were your top 5 books, or what were some books that you really enjoyed from this week? Make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, until next time. What the f is going on? How many of you guys are excited to go see the new Batman movie?